The encounter, it was a cold, quiet night in the mountains. The sky was full of stars, and the forest was dark and peaceful. A man named John Carter walked alone with his old dog Max. John was an ex-soldier, tired of war and noise. He now lived in a small cabin far from the city, where no one bothered him. He looked up at the stars. They were beautiful, but he felt empty inside. His life was quiet, but also lonely. Max barked once, then stopped. Something was wrong. Suddenly a loud sound came from the sky. It was like thunder, but deeper, stranger. The stars above them began to glow bright red. A ball of fire came crashing down from the sky, fast and burning. It hit the forest, not far from where John stood. Boom! The ground shook. Trees fell. Birds flew away in fear. Smoke and fire rose into the air. John ran toward the crash. Max barked and followed. His heart pounded in his chest. Was it a plane, a meteor, or something else? He pushed through the trees and reached a small clearing. What he saw made him freeze. A strange silver ship, shaped like a sharp blade, was half buried. In the ground, it was glowing with a soft blue light. Sparks flew from its broken wings. It hummed like a machine still alive. John stepped closer. Then he heard it, a soft voice. "Help, please." He turned quickly. A figure was crawling out of the ship. It was a woman, but not like any woman he had ever seen. Her skin was smooth and slightly glowing, like moonlight. Her hair was silver and floated like it was underwater. Her eyes, they were deep purple, shining like stars. She was weak, breathing hard. Blood, glowing blue, ran from a cut on her shoulder. John rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" he asked. She looked at him, eyes wide with fear and pain. Then she said something he would never forget. "Human, breed with me, I beg you, or I will die tonight." John stared at her. What did you say?" She tried to speak again, but her eyes closed and she fell into his arms unconscious. Max barked. Loud, nervous, John looked around. The forest was quiet again. Too quiet. Then he heard it. Engines. Black SUVs were coming down the dirt road. Fast. Headlights cutting through the dark. John picked up the alien woman in his arms. She was cold and light, like glass. He didn't know who she was, or why she said those strange words, but he knew one thing: he had to get out of there. Whoever was coming was not coming to help. He ran through the trees with Max close behind. The sound of cars grew louder. From behind the smoke, black-suited men stepped out of the SUVs. They wore helmets, carried strange weapons. One of them spoke into a small device. "We found her." The breeder made contact. The others nodded. They spread out, scanning the forest. John hid behind a large tree. He was breathing hard. He looked down at the alien woman in his arms. She was glowing again. Her breathing was weak. She whispered, barely awake. "They will take me. Turn me into a weapon." John didn't understand much, but he could feel her fear, and deep inside, something told him she was telling the truth. He moved fast through the woods, back toward his cabin. He knew a secret trail where no one could follow. His soldier's training kicked in. He would keep her safe. He would get answers. But what he didn't know, what no one on Earth knew, was that this woman came from a dying world. And her mission was the last chance to save her entire race. And maybe, just maybe, to change the future of humanity forever. John didn't sleep that night. The alien woman lay on his old bed, her glowing skin now dim. Her breathing was slow, weak, like a candle about to go out. John sat on a chair nearby, watching her. His shotgun leaned against the wall. Max, his dog, lay quietly by the door. The cabin was dark, except for the soft light coming from her body. Who was she? What did she mean by "breed with me, or I'll die"? And why were men in black chasing her? John didn't have answers, but he felt something deep in his chest, a strange connection. Like he had known her for a long time, even though they just met. Then, just before sunrise, she opened her eyes. They were brighter than before, purple, glowing, like stars waking up. She looked around, confused. Then she saw John. He stepped closer. "You're safe," he said gently. "They didn't find us." She looked at him carefully, then sat up slowly. "My name is Alira," she said. Her voice was soft but clearer now. "I'm John," he replied. There was silence. Then she touched her chest. Her skin shimmered. A faint symbol appeared like a circle with wings. It glowed, then faded. John looked at it, confused. "What are you?" he asked. Alira looked at him. Her eyes were full of sadness. "My people are dying," she whispered. "We are not many now. We are fading." She looked out the window at the rising sun. "We were once powerful. We lived on a blue planet far from here. But we made a mistake. We created something that killed our future." "What was it?" John asked. Alira paused. "We made perfect weapons. Machines, they turned against us. We won the war, but we lost the ability to create life. Our bodies changed. We can't reproduce anymore." John stared at her. "You mean your race is going extinct?" She nodded. "Our scientists found only one possible solution. One last chance." She looked straight at him. "You humans." John blinked. "What?" "Our DNA is close to yours. Compatible, emotional. You still have something we lost, hope." He didn't know what to say. "You said you would die," he finally asked. "Why?" Alira looked down at her hands. "We don't just need your body, John. We need your emotions, your connection. Without it, the bonding fails, and when it fails, we die." "Why you?" he asked. "Why were you sent?" She smiled sadly. "Because I was the last who could still feel." John stood there, stunned. This wasn't just a visitor from space. This was someone sent to find love, to save an entire race with a human heart. "But what about the men chasing you?" he asked. "They called me the breeder." Alira's face turned dark. "They are from your world, a secret group. They found our signal, captured some of us. They don't care about saving lives. They want our tech, our minds, our bodies. For war." John felt sick. "They were going to use you?" She nodded. "They killed others. I ran." A long silence followed. Only the wind moved outside. John looked at her. "And now? What do we do?" Alira stood slowly. Her body was still weak, but her voice was calm. "You have a choice, John. I won't force you." He looked into her eyes. They weren't cold. They were full of sorrow and a strange warmth. "What happens if I say no?" he asked. She touched her chest again. "I will fade. My body will stop. And my people will lose their last hope." John turned away. His hands shook. All his life, he had run from pain, from people, from love. But now, someone needed him, not to fight, not to kill, but to connect, to trust, to feel again. He looked at her. "You said it needs emotion?" She nodded. He gave a soft smile. "Then maybe we should talk first." Alira looked surprised. Then she smiled too. And for the first time in years, John felt something light inside his chest. Something real. 3 hours later, Alira screamed in pain. Not from a wound, but from inside. Her body was changing fast. John had seen blood. He had seen war. But nothing like this. Alira's skin flickered like a broken light. Her hands trembled. Strange veins glowed under her. Skin blue, purple, then gold. She fell to her knees, breathing hard. John rushed to her. "What's happening?" he shouted. Her voice was weak. "The bond, it began without touch. Your emotions, they're strong. I wasn't ready." Suddenly, the cabin lights flickered. The air grew cold. A high-pitched sound like metal crying filled the room. And then, bang! The front door exploded. John was thrown back. Wood and smoke filled the air. Max barked wildly. They had found them. Black-suited soldiers stormed in, guns raised, eyes covered with glowing red visors. Target in sight. John grabbed his shotgun and fired once, boom, hitting one in the chest. The soldier flew back. Breeder is hostile. Repeat, hostile. John ran to Alira and pulled her up. We need to go. Now. But she was fading. Her legs shook. Her eyes rolled back. He threw her over his shoulder, grabbed his old army bag, and kicked open the back window. Bullets hit the walls behind him. Max jumped out first. John followed, rolling onto the ground outside. They ran into the forest deep. Fast, no time to think. Behind them, flashlights moved through the trees. Drones buzzed overhead. John cursed under his breath. His mind raced. He needed a place. A hiding spot. A place they wouldn't look. Then he remembered the old fallout shelter. Back when John was paranoid about the world ending, he had dug a hidden bunker beneath a dried-up riverbed. No GPS, no cameras. Just cold dirt and silence. Perfect. But getting there wasn't easy. Alira's glow was fading fast. Her head rested against his chest. Max stayed close, growling. Hold on, John whispered. Alira opened one eye. Your memories, they're loud. He looked down. What? I see your pain, your past, your guilt. He stopped behind a tree, breathing hard. Hiding from searchlights, Alira raised one hand and touched his face. I trust you. John. Carter. Her voice was full of warmth, but her body was freezing. John clenched his jaw. We're gonna make it. He moved again. Through mud, through branches. Until finally, they reached it, a metal hatch under leaves and old roots. He opened it. The cold air hit his face. He climbed down the ladder with Alira in his arms. Max jumped in after. They were safe for now. The shelter was dark, damp, but quiet. No signals. No noise. John placed Alira on a soft blanket. She lay still. Stay with me, he whispered. Her eyes barely opened. They don't want a cure, John. They want control. He felt rage inside, burning. Then they picked the wrong man to chase. Just then, a noise came from his bag. His old satellite phone, disconnected for years, lit up. Incoming Taurian Zion. John stared at it. He never gave that number to anyone. He answered. A deep voice spoke. John Carter, you have something we want. You will give her to us, or we will burn the forest down. The line went dead. John looked at Alira. He made a choice, not to run, not to hide, but to fight back. John opened his eyes. But he wasn't in the bunker. He stood in a field of glowing grass under two moons. The sky was violet. Strange trees bent like they were listening to music. Soft lights floated in the air, like living stars. He wasn't dreaming. He was inside a memory, but not his. Behind him, a soft voice spoke. Welcome to my home, John. He turned. Alira stood there, healthy, strong, dressed in white silk-like armor. Her silver hair danced in the wind. Her eyes weren't just glowing, they were alive. Where are we? John asked. She stepped closer. You are inside my mind. This is my memory. A place I used to love before the end. John looked around. It's beautiful. It was, she said quietly. Before war, before fear, before we lost the ability to feel. He stared at her. Why am I here? Alira looked into his eyes. Because you didn't run. Back in the real world, John's body shook. Sweat rolled down his forehead. He sat beside Alira, their hands lightly touching. Her eyes were closed, glowing faintly. A pulse of golden light passed between them like two hearts. SYNCING. The bonding had begun. Not just physical, not just survival, This was something deeper, something human, inside the memory space. Alira walked through the glowing field. John followed. We used to believe emotion was weakness, she said. Love, pain, trust, we removed it from our children. Engineered only logic. But that's not living, John said. No, it's not, she replied. That's why we're dying. We need emotion to create life, to grow, to bond. She turned to him. But the bond can only form if we share everything. All of it, even the pain. Suddenly, the sky turned dark, lightning flashed, the scene changed. John was now standing in a burning village. Bodies on the ground. Screams in the distance, his hands held a rifle. He froze. No, Alira stepped beside him. Your memory. John's voice broke. I didn't want you to see this. She placed a hand on his shoulder. I must, to understand you. Tears rolled down his face. This was the day I stopped feeling. I lost my team. I blamed myself. I left the world. Alira looked at him gently. And still, you saved me. The burning village faded. The field returned. Light. Calm. Silence. She touched his chest. You carry pain, but you still protect. That is why you are rare. John's breathing slowed. Something shifted inside him. A warmth. Not fear. Not guilt. Hope. In the bunker, the golden light between their hands grew brighter. Alira's body stopped shaking. She opened her eyes. Fully awake. John looked at her. You saw everything, she nodded. And I'm still here. A single tear slid down her cheek, her first tear in years. He smiled weakly. Guess I'm more human than I thought. She smiled back. And maybe, so am I. Suddenly, Max barked. A sound outside. Footsteps. Radio static. We have a signal. They're here. The soldiers had tracked them again. John stood up. We can't run anymore. Alira rose too, stronger now. Her body shimmered. No, she said calmly. Now we show them what a real bond can do. She reached out. John took her hand. As they touched, a wave of energy exploded from them, silent but powerful. The bunker lights blinked, and above ground, the soldiers stopped, confused, disoriented. Something in the air had changed. Something impossible, somewhere deep underground. A large screen glowed inside a dark control room. On it, live footage showed John and Alira sitting in the bunker, hands glowing, their bond complete. A figure in a suit stood watching, calm, silent, calculating. He leaned closer to the screen and whispered, he doesn't know. Does he? Another man in the room, dressed in black military gear, replied, no, sir. John still believes she came alone. The man smiled. Good. Let the truth break him. He turned and walked away, leaving only the sound of static behind. Back in the bunker, John packed supplies, food, maps, weapons. Alira sat quietly on the floor, watching Max chase dust in the corner. Her skin now glowed gently, no longer flickering. She looked stronger, healthier, but her eyes held something new. Fear. Not for herself, but for John. John turned to her. There's a safe house 2 towns south, remote. No one will find us there. Alira nodded slowly, but before she could speak, bang. A loud explosion rocked the earth above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. Max barked wildly. John grabbed his rifle. Move! Now! He and Alira climbed out of the bunker into the smoke-filled forest. Flames burned the trees. Black drones flew overhead, scanning. And then they saw him. A man standing alone in the firelight. Gray coat, bald head, cold eyes. John froze. It was someone he hadn't seen in years. No, it can't be. The man stepped forward. Hello, Johnny. Alira looked at John. Who is he? John's voice was ice. My brother. Flashback to 10 years ago. 2 brothers in uniform, soldiers, fighting side by side until one mission went wrong. One made it back. The other disappeared back in the present. I thought you died, John said. The man laughed. I did, and then they rebuilt me. Smarter, better. He pointed to Alira. And now I want her. John stepped in front of her. Not happening. The brother raised a device. She didn't tell you, did she? The screen lit up. Footage played. Alira inside her ship, talking to a shadowy figure. I will find the target, she said. I'll earn his trust, then deliver him. John's hands shook. What is this? Alira's face went pale. I was forced to say it, she whispered. They were listening. I had no choice. John stepped back. So it was all fake? The pain, the memories, the bond? Tears formed in her eyes. No. I came to betray you, yes. But I stayed because I felt something real. John looked away. Silent. The brother stepped forward. You see, John? She's just like me. Built for control, no soul. Alira stepped forward, shaking. No, I changed, because of him. The brother raised his gun. Too late for feelings. But before he could fire, Max leapt and bit his arm. The gun fell. John grabbed it and aimed. Back off. The brother vanished into smoke. A teleport. Alira collapsed to her knees. I never meant to hurt you. John looked at her, breathing hard. You should have told me the truth. I was afraid you'd leave, she said softly. I might have. He said, but now I'm staying. Alira looked up, shocked. Why? He helped her up. Because now I know they fear us together. Behind them, the forest continued to burn, but something stronger had begun in both of them. Not just trust. Rebellion. Above Earth. In deep space, a giant shadow moved through the stars. Not a ship but a fleet. Thousands of alien vessels hung in orbit, like a wall of metal and silence. Inside the largest one, a figure stood by the window, looking down at Earth. Her name was High Matriarch Velen, ruler of Alira's people. Her voice echoed through the chamber. Has she completed the bond? Yes, Matriarch, an advisor replied. The human named John Carter is emotionally linked. Velen narrowed her glowing eyes. Then it's time. She raised one hand. Prepare the invasion. Back on Earth, John and Alira stood on top of a mountain ridge, staring at the night sky. Bright blue lines appeared among the stars, ships warping in. Hundreds. John's heart sank. They're here. Alira's voice was trembling. They were never going to wait. The bond was only proof. Proof of what? She looked at him. That humans are worth keeping alive. John's eyes burned with anger. And if we failed, they would erase Earth, like they erased other failed planets. John turned to her, face hard. You have to stop them. I'm not the leader anymore, she said. Not since I felt emotion. They call me broken. A sudden buzz filled the air. A beam of light appeared in front of them, humming. A hologram. A villain formed in midair. She spoke without emotion. Human, you are the bonded one. Speak now. Give us one reason not to destroy your kind. John stepped forward. I've seen what fear can do. On your world. On mine. But I've also seen something you forgot. Velen blinked. And what is that? He looked at Alira then. Back at the hologram, love. The word hung in the air like a quiet bomb. Velen showed no reaction. Love is not efficient, she replied. Love leads to error, chaos. John shook his head. Love is what made me stay when she lied. What made her change? What made us fight back against fear? He stepped closer to the hologram. You came looking for human DNA. You missed the real power. Velen paused. For the first time. She looked uncertain. Alira joined him. Let me speak to her, she said. Velen narrowed her eyes. You are fallen, useless. I found something you lost, Alira replied. I found someone who reminded me what we were. Valen's hologram faded. Silence. Then the sky changed. The alien ships above Earth began to move again, this time not to fire, but to descend. Slow, careful, watching. Hours later, in an abandoned airbase, a strange meeting took place. Earth's leaders sat across from the alien High Council, both sides full of fear and weapons. John and Alira stood in the center. No bodyguards, no translators. Just two people. And the hope of billions. A general growled, "We don't negotiate with invaders." John replied calmly, "Then you better start." Alira stepped forward. "We came for survival. You think we wanted war. But we needed something no science could make." She looked around the room. Trust, empathy, a reason to live, not just survive. Velen appeared via hologram again, watching the talks. She said only one sentence, "Let them speak." By sunset, a temporary treaty was signed. No war. A joint alliance would begin between Earth and the alien race. Science, culture, and healing. Alira's people would stay peacefully to learn, to grow, and to feel again. But not everyone was happy. John's brother, hidden in the shadows, watched from a distance, his face cold, eyes burning. "Let them have their peace," he whispered. "It won't last." Later that night, John and Alira stood alone near the cabin. The stars were peaceful again. "You saved my world," she said. John smiled. "No, we saved each other." They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. Sometimes the bond is more than flesh. Sometimes it's the quiet between two heartbeats. 5 years later, the boy sat alone on a hill, watching the stars. His name was Leo Carter. He looked human, but his eyes glowed faint purple under the moonlight. He was only 4 years old, but smarter than most adults, faster, stronger, kinder. He was the first of his kind, half human, half LRE. He had never seen war, never heard bombs, only stories, but tonight he would hear the real one from the man who ended it. Behind him, footsteps. John Carter sat down beside the boy, older now. A few silver hairs, wiser eyes. "Couldn't sleep?" John asked. Leo shook his head. "The stars are loud tonight," John smiled. "That's your mother's side." Leo looked up. "Is it true? You stopped the war? With love?" John laughed. "Not just love, a lot of running, a lot of arguing. And one very brave alien woman who made me believe again." Leo's smile faded. "Will the war come back?" John was quiet for a long time. Then he looked toward the sky. "No, not if people like you grow up remembering why it ended." In the city below, humans and Alari worked side by side. Children of both species played in bright parks. Blue trees from Alira's world now grew beside Earth's forests. Technology had advanced 50 years in 5, but something greater had spread. Peace. In a tall white tower, Alira stood on a balcony, her silver hair flowing in the wind. She watched her people walk freely among humans. No more fear, no more hiding. A voice behind her spoke. "Matriarch Alira, the final ship from your homeworld has arrived. All survivors are here." She closed her eyes. It was done. Her people had found a new world. A second chance. She turned, and John walked in holding Leo. The little boy ran into her arms. "You glow brighter when you smile, Mom," he whispered. She laughed softly, her voice warm. "That's your father's fault." But not all was peaceful. Far beyond Earth, hidden in the shadow of a dead moon, a figure watched. John's brother, his body now part machine, his heart long gone. He stared at Earth through a stolen Alari lens. "They think it's over," he whispered. "But peace is just a pause." Behind him, strange machines moved silent, waiting. The screen lit up with coordinates. "Activate the project. Begin Phase 1. Back on Earth." John and Alira sat together at the lake, Leo asleep between them. "The world feels different now," John said. "It is," Alira replied. Not perfect, but real. John looked at her. Do you ever miss the stars? She looked up. Sometimes. But then I remember what I found here, he smiled. What's that? She looked at him. You, and somewhere in the stars. A message traveled across the galaxy. 2 hearts changed a world. 1 child may change the universe.